Hello, it's Jim Hutchins for the Jerusalem Connection Truth Report for this week. This past week there was a lead article in the Israeli magazine Israel Today. It's a Messianic Jewish magazine written by Calvin Friedberger. And this was the headline for the article. Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, hires a Messianic Jew to his staff who unabashedly believes in Jesus. Now that's news. He goes on, as Netanyahu's new deputy social media advisor, Hananya Naftali, is being called, quote, a superstar who brings a lot to the table when it comes to online pro-Israel advocacy. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office made waves this past week when it hired a long-time pro-Israel YouTube activist, Hananya Naftali, as a new deputy social media advisor. Israel Today, the magazine, has featured Naftali's informative video clips a number of times. The material is as solid as it gets. What makes Naftali controversial, quote, for many Israelis is his unabashed faith in Yeshua, in Jesus. We avoid calling Naftali a Messianic Jew because in the previous video he himself denied belonging to any particular denomination. Instead, explaining that he's just a normal guy who's made his own decision to follow Jesus. It's very symbolic of the rising status of Israeli believers in Yeshua that Naftali would be hired by the Prime Minister's office despite being so open about his faith. The rising status of Israeli believers. There was a day when an Israeli could lose their job if it was known that they were a believer in Jesus. That's not so today. The remnant is growing as we speak. The Israel Defense Forces have Messianic Jews, and they're encouraged to join and be a part of the military. The Knesset has Christians in it. It's a new day. It's a new day, and I'm reminded of what Paul says in Romans chapter 11, verse 11. He says, did they, that is the Jews stumble so as to fall beyond recovery? Did their initial rejection of Jesus cause them to fall beyond any hope of redemption? Not at all, says Paul. Rather, because of their transgression, salvation has come to the Gentiles to make Israel envious, to make them jealous. He goes on, but if their transgression means riches to the world and their loss means riches to the Gentiles, how much greater riches will their fullness bring? There is their fullness that is on its way. It's a work in progress. It's not there yet, but it's coming. He says in verse 15, if their rejection is the reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance be but life from the dead? And Gentiles have a prominent role in that, the scriptures indicate. Paul says this in Romans chapter 11, verse 30, just as you, namely you Gentiles, just as you were at one time disobedient to God and now have received mercy as a result of their disobedience. You've received mercy as a result of their disobedience. So they too have now become disobedient in order that they too, that is the Jews, may receive mercy as a result of God's mercy to you. What's he saying? He's saying, Gentiles, you're to show the mercy that God has shown to you, to the Jews. You're going to be responsible and have the privilege, the delight of raising the number of Jewish believers to obedience to God. That's a joy. That's a delight. That's a privilege. Praise God. So they too have now become disobedient in order that they too, the Jews, may now receive mercy as a result of God's mercy to you. Gentiles are to show the mercy that God has shown them to the Jews. And that's the truth. Till next week, Od Ki Yavo Shiloh. Till Messiah comes, Yivareka Yahweh. Yivareka Yahweh, Yivayishmareka. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Those you love, those who love you.